Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reacts, where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Rose from Ashes, titled Red Hand. And if we switch over to here, apparently this is their first big single release. They've recently been signed to Amalian Records, which is pretty dope, so I'm wishing them all the best of luck with that. But for now, we're going to listen through this track from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. And just full disclosure, we're going to be giving this song an overall score out of 10 based on various musical criteria at the end, but for now, let's go, let's do it. What do we got?
December's barely grow. Now the story's silence in a world that just doesn't want to know. These ashes rise around a rose in my hand. Quiet in the night in a land where no one cares or fights. Single drum fills the air. Broken hearts in disrepair. Another life stolen from a world that forgot to care.
I mean, I know it's such a basic thing to say, but I just appreciate seeing a band playing together in the room, playing their instruments, you know they're capable on the studio side as well as on the live side, or live side of things if necessary.
Another one down the drain, engraved in grief and flame. Just another story, silence in a world that refuses blame. Betrayed by broken trust, leaving dreams out to rust. Carried by the wind in a land where justice fades to dust. But another child missing, but another sister gone. Just another reason to
Great use of vocal fries there as well.
this great void of love I can't
Panning as well.
Every time I see your face in mine, shadows of you, a ghost buried in lies, lost by this design. Every cry, I hear it comes through time. Echoes of you fade into the sky, lost by design. Rise up, rise up.
And that's the power of a breakdown section as well, just allowing yourself to appreciate the guitar, bass, and drum elements outside of the storytelling.
How many lives won't see the light? Why must we give them away? How many lives won't see tonight? Why can't you admit the grave is the grave? This is the grave. Every time I see your face in mine, shadows of you, a ghost buried in lies, lost by this design. Every cry, I hear it comes through time. Echoes of you fade into the sky, lost by breaking me. Every time I see your face in mine, shadows of you, a ghost buried in lies, lost by this design. Every cry, I hear it cuts through time. Echoes of you fade into the sky, lost by design.
Virgin Music Group as well as Amalian Records. Dope. Fading out. Professional video. Going to talk about this track more in the conclusion. And so welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Rose from Ashes, titled Red Hand. Now, just before we go any further, I gave this track an overall score of 8 out of 10. I feel like it's a really fantastic first impression to their work, and there were a few highlights for me personally, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. But first of all, what do we think this track is about? I think that this track is actually quite a sad one, to put it in the most minimalist way possible, I suppose. I think it's about people's lives getting taken away, people not caring enough or not being aware of it, but it being by design that people don't care about it, almost like they're just kind of broken, discarded, separate kind of things that are just out of mind, out of peace, out of mind. And it's just, it's real, you know. There are people that are just lost, and we lose them because we just aren't aware enough of what they're going through, or they are taken from us by people or things, and it's worth talking about. It's worth writing music, that red hand that takes them away. So again, I'm sorry to hear if they've gone through this, if they lost people personally, but I feel it's really solid subject matter for a track, and I'm thankful that they sung about it. One of the things that worked for me personally within this track, vocally, it's not just that we had proper vocal technique and we're very confident in our head and chest voice, and we had two different singers kind of riffing off each other. They stuck to their strengths, you know, like they used the vocal textures and timbres relative to their best extent within the genre, as well as to express themselves in a way that was authentic to the piece and the message. And I think that just in terms of how they expressed and portrayed it, it was kind of, I don't know how they could have necessarily have improved it. I feel like it was a very, very solid effort all around. I think that it's important to, you know, take turns when you have different vocalists in a band. If you have two people going at the same time, it can be difficult to know who to pay attention to. So the fact that they were aware of that and sort of maybe came together occasionally as sub-layers and mains or call and responses was really effective. And there was a bit of vocal fry and growling as well as additional bits of development. There was also parts where the vocals were filtered to sort of differentiate in terms of how they presented in the mix, so that's also good. The production was tops. And we just hit the notes cleanly as well all around. I think another thing I want to give a shout out to specifically with the instrument parts are the drums. While I appreciate how foundational the bass was with its groove and sort of root note anchor with very comfortable around the scales and modes presented, and while I appreciate a lot of the different kind of like string double picked riffs there, the palm muted chugs, the leady kind of like arpeggiated parts in the upper end of the guitars, and a lot of the other kind of lead parts I had in the choruses, I feel for me a personal highlight within this track was the drums. I appreciate the wide variety of different sort of like cymbal kick and snare grooves, as well as a complete finesse and exploration of the different tom patterns, transitions between beats being seamless, knowing when to sort of like step out and allow space for other elements, knowing when to allow it being more sort of like this open string oriented kind of chug kind of breakdown kind of stuff to having the kicks be in time with other elements. There are just a lot of things beyond the fundamentals that the percussionist puts into this track in a way which is really positive. And I feel like the chemistry between the band members involved in this piece is one of the reasons why it works so well. Finally, I think it's the studio production, which is a personal highlight for me. It's not just that the vocals were handled really adeptly, and it's not just that the extra instrumental performances and songwriting elements of the piece were tops, but it was also that we recorded the guitar, bass, drums, and vocals in a way where they were very easy to discern and feel through the mix. There was even panning of certain elements in the side of stereo field. We had filtering of vocals to allow them to stand out and seem more like a kind of a radio filterish kind of thing. We had sub drops, deliberate sub bass resonances occasionally to add a bit extra focus and emphasis on parts. It was a very conscious effort to, I think, have a lot of variety within the post, because of the fact that even though there were a lot of cool guitar, bass, and drum ideas, and vocally the story was intriguing, it wasn't like a super chaotic, crazy, wild journey or adventure through the piece. There were some parts which were repeated for the sake of making it more sort of like accessible and affecting. You know, you don't overcomplicate things within a composition unless it benefits it, but to have again those adjustments of how things are heard just adds more sort of variety within a mix and makes it easier, more interesting to listen to for listeners, especially in this day and age where attention spans are so short. So ultimately, I think, you know, with the dynamic range, the nice and low without pumping to the bus compression limiting was handled ultimately. We performed well and we recorded solid takes, and it's commercial grade in terms of its presentation, as per what we heard today. So ultimately, I think it was the vocals, the instrumental performances, and the way they were written, as well as the production, which were three personal highlights for me. I haven't really got any complaints or like constructive critique about this. Again, maybe we would need to see it in context or see how they grow or continue to move past this. But for now, I'm very happy I got the chance to listen to it. So thank you for watching my review of this track from an act named Rose from Ashes, titled Red Hand, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via the various social medias and the YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SB Reacts. Spiderhands out.